All right, guys, welcome back to the Hoops Nerd Show. Just finished the Last Dance, the finale with Michael Jordan, breaking every Utah Jazz fan's heart. We got to relive that again as a Jazz fan. I don't know if it was fun, but it was interesting. There were some stories there that we didn't have before. I think the story that really makes the biggest rounds when you're watching is Pizzagate. There's like rumors around here in Utah about what was actually happening with Jordan during the flu game. That's kind of what we saw in episode 7 before we see episode 8, the 98 finals, and beating the Jazz again. 97, you have everyone called it the flu game, and it was incredible. As a Jazz fan, it's just so hard to watch Michael Jordan to think, oh, he has the flu. Maybe we can beat him this time, and he still beats you. I mean, it's just, that's what makes Jordan so incredible and so great, is that he just overcame every obstacle, whatever it was, whatever team it was, whatever situation, he found a way to win games. Even if 4 or 5 pizza guys from Utah come to your hotel room late at night giving you food poisoning and you're sick and you still find a way to beat the Jazz. It's just agony to be a Jazz fan or a fan of the Pacers. We see Reggie Miller and the Pacers, which is a great team, can't find a way to beat him. Rick Smits at that jump ball at the end of the game. Michael Jordan beats 7'4" Rick Smits to get the jump, and that leads the way to winning that game and beating the Pacers. It's just crazy what Jordan was able to do to win games, just doing things to win games. In the 98 finals, you have Karl Malone backing down his man. Jordan comes around at the end of the game. It's like a 3-point game. Jordan gets the steal from Malone, and that's what leads. Oh, it wasn't a 3-point game. That was the 1-point game. Utah had the lead, and Malone's backing down his man to try to run out the clock. Jordan runs around, steals the ball, and hits the shot that breaks everyone's heart, and that's the final shot we see. This series, if you didn't know that Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time, go watch this series and you'll see why. But this series, it's just hard to even encapsulate what makes Jordan the GOAT in just this 10-part series. If you lived it and you watched it, there is just no way to describe the dread of being the opponent facing Michael Jordan. Like, if you're a Fairweather that was like a Fairweather Jordan fan and now you're like a Fairweather LeBron fan, if you're one of those people, you know, who knows if those people even exist. If they do, they're probably few and far between, because if you actually watched Jordan play, there was no question. But if you were a fan rooting against the Bulls, whether you're the Pistons in the finals, Supersonics fans against the Bulls in the finals, Pacers, Knicks fans in the Eastern Conference Finals against Jordan, Jazz fans, it was this feeling of dread knowing that if this game is close, if we're not up by like 7 or 8 points in the final minute of the game, we're not going to win this game. That's what makes Jordan the greatest. He just found a way to win. And it wasn't just like big shots, you know? We talk about like the LeBron block against Golden State, and that was a great series, and that's a great all-time moment and a big reason why I think LeBron is number 2. But there's a lot of difference between that 1 and 2, by the way. There were so many big-time plays. Like that big shot in Utah where Jordan breaks Jazz fans' heart. And yes, it was a push-off. Bob Costas says it was like more of like just escorting someone to their table type thing. And that's probably a good way to put it. I say it's somewhere in between. But there's no way you're going to get that call. If the refs called a call against like Stockton during the shot in Houston, people would go crazy. Like, remember how Karl Malone bear hugs his man? I can't remember if it was Charles Barkley, and Stockton hits the shot to go to the finals to play the Bulls. If the refs called that foul against Karl Malone, Utah would crater into an abyss of nothingness that is hard to fathom. So those calls just don't happen at the end of games, you know? But it's the play beforehand that no one ever talks about. Barely talks about. Jordan makes the steal that makes that shot even possible, you know? Makes it even possible. And Utah could not find a way to like get switches and things right, and could not find a way to take advantage of Pippen with the hurt back. You know, there's a lot of what ifs with Utah, but there's a lot of what ifs with everyone who faced Jordan. And that's why he's the great one. So many teams have the what ifs, like the Phoenix Suns in the finals saying, what if we could not get behind that one game, if we could have made this shot go in? The Indiana Pacers, where they're saying if Rick Smits can just get that jump ball, or if we could just rebound the ball, then we can beat the Bulls, who, by the way, Indiana has a lead in that game. Utah, if Malone can make his free throws in the 97 series, if Shannon Anderson can make some layups, and in 98, if we cannot find a way to lose a game and score 54 points, there are so many what ifs. So many what ifs. And that's what makes Jordan the great one. He's just is. He's the greatest of all time. He changed the game too, by the way. It was such a unique form of basketball. You have like the pure point guard where you have like John Stockton and Isaiah Thomas, who's more of a pure scorer, but Kevin Johnson, also a scorer type. But the pure point guard who ran the team, Magic Johnson, runs the team. With the Bulls, it was like a hybrid thing where you have Scottie Pippen with the ball in his hands and Michael Jordan, and your point guard is more of a slasher and Ron Harper. And Steve Kerr's kind of like your point guard, but he's actually really just a 3-and-D, three-point specialist type, you know? It was just a crazy team built around the greatest basketball player of all time, and he found a way to win every single time. And if you were going against him, it was the worst. It was the worst, you know? Against other teams, you know, nowadays where we're in this quarantine and we don't know if the league's going to start. It sounds like it's going to start maybe early July, fingers crossed. There are a lot of teams that feel like they have a chance. But at this time, when you were going against the Bulls, it felt like there was no chance. You know, deep down, you kind of knew, I don't think we really have a chance. I hope so. I hope things go our way. Maybe Pippen will get hurt, and he did. And guess what? Maybe Jordan will get sick, and guess what? They still won. They still won. It's painful. It's agony for Jazz fans, and for every other fan base that rooted against Jordan. But the thing you got to come away from this, and this is actually a message to Jazz fans and anyone else actually who is still holding on to these pain from losing these finals, just respect the great one. Just respect Michael Jordan for who he was and what he did and how great he was. Karl Malone's probably the best basketball player who's never won a title because 2 times he went up against the greatest basketball player who ever lived. And that's just how it is. You just got to respect it. Embrace and understand why he was so great. Appreciate what he was because it was unbelievable in every aspect, whether it was defense, scoring, playmaking. Underrated passer. He averaged like 4 or 5 assists a game. Underrated passer. But then and that's not even counting like the leadership, the accountability, the work ethic, the pure just drive to win that is unmatched by anyone. It's just embrace and accept what he was. He was the great one. He will always be the great one. There will never be anyone who impacts and affects the game like he did. He was an originator. He was, revolutionary, and he was just the best at his craft in every aspect. And if he'd have played in this era, he would have fit in with what the game is today, and he probably would have been better, honestly. It's okay to say other players would have been good back in his day. It's also okay to say that Jordan, if he played now, would be even better. It's because he was the great one, and the great ones find a way to win. The great ones find a way to play the game and make things bend to their will, and that's what Michael Jordan did. Guys, that's all I got to say. This was a fun document. Sorry about the last video. I have a new computer, by the way. This is the new setup. Awesome, by the way. But with the new programs and software, the exports didn't go so well. So that last video did not sound good. I deleted it because I want the quality on here. You know? So like and subscribe. Expect greatness from this channel. It's coming. It's going to get better and better. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. Guys, I will talk to you later.